It's time for Pucknology. Pucknology. After dark. Oh my.
Oh my god, we lost to another backup again. If there's a certain number of things that this team has done year after year, it's have a teaser goal when we're down by 2 or 3 goals, blow things in the playoffs, and lose to the backup goaltender. Oh, and wait, the Ducks were the team that were on the back-to-back games tonight and flew in and had to land at 2 a.m., not the Sharks. Who was the fresher team out there tonight? We'll find out with our panel. Welcome to Pucknology After Dark. Following a 1-0 Earthquakes lose over... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're not talking soccer. It's hockey. The Sharks lose to the Anaheim, not quite mighty, but we still use the logo Ducks. If you want to be a part of the show, use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. You ask questions or comment along the way. You can follow all of us at Pucknology, at Puckeye14, at AJ_Strong, who will be joining us a little bit later. The return of J. Alexander46. Chris JWS is somewhere around this country. We don't know yet. He might be Peoria, Atlanta, Nova Scotia. We don't know. At Eric Landy, at I Read Pucknology. I love that one. And at SJ Sharkbite. Felix, you're somewhere around here. Hello. All right. So with us tonight, for now, it is Eric Landy, spelled the right way.
How you guys doing?
We have the director of content, the almighty Ian Reed.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
And the return, with not being on the phone and not drunk dialing us during our season premiere, Gentry Alexander.
What was with that porno-esque opening that we had? Did I miss something? I mean, are we way after dark? Is this Cinemax style that we're going with now? Because I'm completely in the wrong attire. I should be wearing less.
No. Keep your clothes on, Gentry, please. We're not that after dark. No, Rocket helped us with a nice little intro. In fact, I have another intro that we'll use later on in the year from NHL Ties. But let's talk about this game. Ian, I'll start with you, and I will say your thoughts on the Sharks losing. They are now 7-7, clinging to a freaking playoff spot. And watch out, here comes Anaheim and Edmonton. And Calgary won tonight, so watch out, the Flames are coming too.
Yeah, I'm almost at a loss for words at this point. Like, you kind of hit on all the main key off the top there. This is a backup goaltender. This is a Anaheim playing on the second nights of back-to-backs, and you want to see the Sharks put on a better performance. But, as I said last week, though, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if, not last week, but last show I said that it wouldn't shock me in a week to see, us talking about how the Ducks are fighting with the Kings for top of the division.
Yeah, agreed.
Landy, go ahead.
Yeah, agreed. We all knew that the Ducks were going to be a lot better than their start. We all knew that the Sharks weren't as good as their start. It's kind of sad, but it's what it is. And yeah, that first period, that lackadaisical play was the killer.
Gentry, your initial thoughts into tonight's action.
We honor the great Owen Nolan by getting shut out by our division rival, and we do it with no effort whatsoever. What the hell happened? I mean, how did we go from a 4-0 start to now being 7-7? I don't get it. I'm at a loss.
It's a very paltry team right now. I mean, you cannot say this is only because Logan's out or Raffy's out. You can't go on that anymore. You have to adjust. You lost your number 5 defenseman for the rest of the night. That might have been a blessing in disguise. However, at the same time, we're now, and I'm assuming we're getting this right. We are now 0 for 18 at home on the power play through, 7 games? I mean, how is that even remotely acceptable?
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where you put Vlasic on the top unit power play. I mean, how is that acceptable?
No.
No, it's not acceptable.
Uh,
That's not good at all.
Vlasic shouldn't be anywhere on the ice during the power play. He should be in the locker room. He should be somewhere in the corner. Be like, stay as far away from this power play as possible because you can't hold the freaking zone ever. The puck just magically bounces over his freaking stick every time, and it's just like it could be as simple as like a 2 mile an hour puck to his stick, and he's like, oh, it's out. Oh, what happened? I don't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, no, and the fact that he when he tries to go for a shot tip play, he misses everybody's stick. Dude, just shoot on net. I don't want you doing any kind of shooting for somebody's stick because you're not that great.
But he's got pinpoint accuracy at Ben Smith's ears.
Yes.
True.
Ba 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 ba.
And to play devil's advocate, though, I mean, the Ducks do have the best penalty kill in the league, so we knew we were in tough going into this one.
But didn't we play somebody that was like in the lower 20s?
There's no excuse for that. I agree.
I mean, we were talking about how they needed to get 6 out of 8 points on this homestand, and now they're going to be lucky by getting 4. And the Islanders aren't a slouch, even though they're kind of on the partial of the playoff race. And joining us from his Uber, AJ Strong.
That's right, Uber baby. How you doing?
They should be a sponsor of the show, I swear. The official travel partner of AJ Strong Pucknology After Dark.
I think that fake tree behind you should be a sponsor of the show.
Oh.
It gives it that lived-in hotel quality aspect. That
But what AJ doesn't
it's like you look at it and it's like, oh, how Motel 6 of you.
But AJ doesn't know this is actually called the Angry AJ tree. Because when AJ isn't on, we let the Angry AJ tree rant about how awful the game is.
That's right. You have no idea how many profanities that fake tree can utter.
It utters less than the ones I uttered on Tuesday night. AJ, your thoughts about tonight?
Well, obviously, not too happy. Watching the first period, it was a lot of I'm only giggling because myself and Andrew Bench got into a little bit of a twit storm, but I thought the first period
that never happens.
Yeah, never. What are you talking about? The fourth period seemed to be getting the best looks. They seemed to be working the hardest. The top line, Thornton, Donskoy, Pavelski, they did get their chances, but it felt like, Haley was working hard. Brown was working hard. When you compared to what they were trying to do and banging on the boards and looking for the shots, they were definitely more up on it than even, Tierney, Hurdle, Wingles, Ward, Marlowe, whoever you want to name off. I mean, a couple of the guys, they had their looks, but that first period was the most consistent, which, of course, is a big goddamn red flag. And then, of course, when we had the dual fight, which was great because I was like, oh, Dylan's getting taken off? Oh, that's addition by subtraction. That's awesome. Either way, it's once again a case of stuff that we have discussed ad nauseum, where it's how many goddamn shots, low percentage shots from the point did we see tonight? Over and over. They don't want to crash the net. They don't want to get into the slot. And I don't know about you guys, and I want to put this out to all of you, Landy, Gentry, Puck Guy, Ian. Was it me, and now granted, I have to preface this with, I have to play the "I was there" card, but I don't know what it looked like on TV. Aside from the one time that Burns broke up a play by the net, for the most part, Burns tonight was a tire fire.
I thought Tennyson was worse. I felt like Tennyson was making those no-look back passes in the defensive zone. He was just giving it up left and right. I thought he was worse than Burns, but yeah, I did notice what you were talking about. Burns was pretty bad in his own zone tonight.
Oh, he was god awful tonight. He made a lot of silly, stupid no-look passes, and just some of the play. It's what we talked about before. He goes into pinch at exactly the wrong time.
Yeah, and it's like it did last year. It's going to take a disadvantage of a bad situation and lead on to breaks. And you can't have that anymore. I mean, that's part of the reason why. I mean, yeah, you had to flip around everything once Dylan was tossed from the game, but you can't just bank on Burnsy being with his BFF, Martin, the whole game.
Yeah, and to me, I think that it just goes to show the lack of depth on the defense again. You look at the number one, the quote unquote shutdown pair, and they got victimized, straight up victimized by Kessler Getzloff on that pass up the middle to Perry, and it was comical how open Perry was, and he was able to get behind the defense, and to have your two shutdown guys let somebody that open just go walk in front of the net, and Jones had no chance.
No.
But
Well,
that's
you
the
also
whole
have
thing, dude. That is a great fucking point. The fact that did you see the way Perry was able to just no problem skip behind that defense? Nobody picked him up, and to throw it out, you have to admit, dude, like the goal, it was a good goal. The pass was sick, dude. That pass was sick.
Yeah,
they
well, it's
went
nothing.
through-
It's nothing new. I mean, that's what Getzloff's known for, and the fact that pass was able to get through the neutral zone, nobody tried to block that pass, and the fact that they let Getzloff have that enough time to shoot that puck, and the fact that Perry, I mean, there's 3 breakdowns there.
Gentry, you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah, it went through, like, I don't know why Hurdle was on the back check, because it was Hurdle and Vlasic on the back check, and Hurdle didn't pick up Perry, like, behind him, and Getzlaff just laid it on thick, and then it was just like, oh, nope, there it goes, bye.
But and the other thing too is that Marlowe, him and Thornton were skating, and then all of a sudden they do their little typical thing and turn around. Well, unfortunately, he did a blindside pass, and it was a turnover, and then they go up ice, and somebody got caught pinched down, and that's what happened. It broke out to a breakaway for Perry. Again, it's one mistake, but that one mistake loomed huge tonight.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And when you're playing the Ducks, you have to be on your A game, and that defense was not on its A game.
And especially when you consider that this is not the Ducks that started off the season, like 0-7 or what, with that ridiculous start that they had. This is a Ducks team that over the last 3 games has been turning it on. And
Yeah, I mean they've won 4 in a row now?
4 in a row.
If you look at the first 10 minutes of it, and I tweeted it out, first 10 minutes of the game, it was like the Ducks had possession of the puck for the first 8.5 minutes out of those 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
my
threw the
seats
puck
were
position
actually
even right back to
I
them.
was sitting. We were sitting upper deck 208, right behind where the Sharks shoot twice, and I'm telling you, over the first 10 minutes, dude, everything was happening at the other end of the ice. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was almost like the early on with the Columbus game. They got shot out. They got outshot 12-4 early on. Then San Jose turned around. Well, unfortunately, Anaheim isn't the Columbus Blue Jackets, where they'll just let you crawl back into the game.
And the shots tonight. What were the shots tonight? Like after the first intermission, the
It
Sharks.
was even.
Well, I know. I'm saying after the first. The Sharks. It was being, on Twitter and everything. They were saying like the Sharks outshot the Ducks like 17-5 after the first intermission. I don't know that those were the exact numbers, but either way, the Sharks were out shooting them. But it's that case, and Ian and I love to talk about this. It's the case of, you can have a shitload of shots, but when they're all coming from the point and they have to try to get through 5 different people, when you're shooting nothing but low percentage crap, but, really what does matter? And we talked about this the last time, where were the goals that the Sharks got before? They were the dirty ones, the ones in the slot, getting close to the net. Easily the majority of the shots tonight, it was just slappers from the point that had no business whatsoever getting to the net.
And there was no rebounds from them, and so for those that don't know, the shots on goal after the first period where they're even was in favor of the Sharks by a margin of 20-6.
Yeah. No. Yeah, they did turn it on, and I feel like that they came back, but boy, that rough start again, it's been haunting them for the last 5 or 6 games. They're just giving up that first goal and playing lackadaisical in their own end in the first period, and it's like they forget to play defense in the first period. Just watching over that highlight once again, you can see that Marlowe goes up on I think Maroon, and Maroon's able to get it up to Getzlaf. Now this is kind of where the play kind of breaks down a little bit, where Hurdle is caught in the no man's land. He's in the slot, kind of moving towards Getzlaf. He doesn't take Getzlaf's spot. He doesn't sprawl out in front of that shot, and instead the up pass is allowed to get up to Perry. And basically now you've got Vlasic trying to get back. You've got Hurdle trying to get back, and Braun made an unfortunate pinch. So now he's caught back too. So it was a breakdown upon breakdown upon breakdown. Really, in my opinion, that goal was on Hurdle and it was on Vlasic. Those two were way out of position.
Yeah, well, and that's the big point, is why is getting back there? He shouldn't be back there. And that's the gist of it, for the most part. Any bright notes to mention about this game tonight? Gentry, I'll start with you.
Jones was solid, I guess. I mean, he was making some awesome saves, and he did try to keep it as he did keep the Sharks into it, because it easily could have been a freaking blowout with the way the Sharks were playing. But he did make some key saves, other than the breakaway one. But I don't think anybody could have had that. But I mean, Jones and Pavelski were pretty much the only Sharks that kind of showed up tonight. And I thought that the Sharks would have responded after seeing Thornton go down the way that he did and writhe around in pain. And how do we honor that? Lackluster power play. Way to go, Sharks.
Yeah.
The reason why
I think that's... What was the shirt that you showed me?
This team is why I drank, or something like that. And he's biting on a beer bottle. It's awesome. Christmas present idea, guys.
Yeah.
No kidding. Guys, any further thoughts on this before we move along to the new elephant in the room that's not the home power play?
Well, Ian's got something quick. Don't be shocked to see Haley suspended, Ian.
Ian.
Uh-oh.
I think you're muted. You're muted on your mic.
I am muted on my mic. You're right. It kind of is fantastic. The way I saw the replay of when the fights broke out, and it looked like Haley came off the bench, and it was a legal line change, but he immediately just went for the fight. And if you remember last year, John Scott got suspended for exactly the exact same thing. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Haley get a couple of games.
That's okay. We'll just send him down.
Well, if anything, that's an automatic 10 game, correct?
No, because it was a legal line change.
It's a
not
legal
letting
line.
him-
Oh, that's right. No,
Yeah.
my bad.
Now, because John Scott, if I remember correctly, what the player safety guys ended up using as a bullshit kind of thing was that he didn't make an attempt to go to the puck.
Right. And
Well,
so
I think
if
that,
that's the case, then yeah.
then by that criteria, I wouldn't be shocked to see Haley get dinged.
And we
Yeah.
all know how much they have a thing on us for, so.
Yeah. Oh, Laurel on the chat says, knock knock, if this chat thingy works, anyone live say fuck a duck, please?
Fuck a duck.
Fuck
Fuck
a
a duck. Screw a kangaroo.
duck.
Freaking hosers. Oh my god. Alright.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Eric. I just wanted to kind of clear that up before we went on.
No, you're totally fine. I wanted to make sure because, yeah, I saw that from Twitter user My Regular Face, and she's like the unofficial official NHL GIF maker per se, and I think she actually works for the Oilers as well. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that on there. So let's get to the elephant in the room, and that is on tonight's second intermission of Hockey Night in Canada, the Saturday headlines segment with Damian Cox and Elliot Friedman. They reported that right off the bat, too, so you know something's up. And if you heard Kurz tonight on there mention as well, Friedman is very legitimate, and I guarantee you, if something wasn't happening, he wouldn't have mentioned it. Apparently, there are teams in talks, or are interested, I should say, in Patrick Marleau. It's kind of ironic. I mean, yes, we had the first doubleheader in San Jose, so there were a lot of scouts there, but supposedly a number of teams, including Calgary, Edmonton, Columbus, the Rangers, among others, I think Winnipeg was the other one, were in attendance at both games tonight. I will start with you, Ian, on the thought of Patrick Marleau no longer being a Shark, and the sheer irony that he is 3 points away from his 1,000 point. And could he hit the 1,000 point to sell the merchandise and then be traded the following day?
Look, I think the important thing to point out here, though, is I thought that Kurz and Brody couldn't have got it more wrong in the intermission, was that this is teams calling about Marleau. This isn't necessarily the Sharks shopping him. So I think that's an important distinction to make. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. See, they call me the hockey robot for a reason, because my personal feeling is show me the return, and you know what? If the return is right, I would trade anyone tomorrow. It's just the kind of jerk I am. I mean, if the return was right, I would trade Patrick Marleau tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. If that return does not include a young stud defenseman, I will be very upset. That's all I gotta say about that.
Gentry.
Trade him.
Care to elaborate?
Here's the thing that I really don't like about Patrick Marleau is that, you know, we tend to give him a bye because, you know, he has been the longest tenured Shark, and, you know, he's been with the franchise since day one. But you also forget that he's a bad example for the younger players. He really doesn't show up to the obstacle skates and stuff like that. And if you go to as many practices and stuff like that I do, there are certain players that will always come out, that will always sign autographs, that will always talk to the fans. Patrick Marleau is always like, you know, 95%. He'll always duck around the corner and avoid the fans, like. And if you're saying that you want to be a part of the franchise and that you want to be a face of it, you've got to be that type of representative who goes and talks with the fans. And also, I think it's just like everybody was saying, oh, Marleau had an off year last year. I was like, well, Marleau didn't give a flying fuck last year, so it showed. You know, and I will agree with certain people that as long as Patrick Marleau is on the team and as long as his aloof, don't give a fuck attitude is kind of in the locker room, the Sharks will never ever win the Stanley Cup.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know if you guys have looked on it, but even Felix, one of the guys who has been nice enough to be part of our group here, it says, highly doubt Marlowe will be traded. Just saying. Now,
I agree.
I see. Now I got to tell you, Ian. I love you and your Canadian disposition, but I totally disagree. I think that Wilson has the biggest Jones for Marlowe, and he wants to see a guy go wire to wire. Signing to retirement, a Shark, and I don't think he's going to let him go, no matter how much the fans would like to see him and it's not even the fans wanting to see him gone. And let's be honest, we've seen Dick. Okay, he had that tweet that said, okay, people are inquiring about it. Oh, inquiring minds want to know. Okay, that's fantastic. What is the return? If somebody had posted something like, what if you okay, everybody, it's been a hard night tonight, so everybody would enjoy giggle. So let me give you a giggle. Somebody had broached the idea of Steven Stamkos, Marlowe, Dylan, and a pick for Steven Stamkos. And I sat there and I went, yeah, okay, a 25-year-old Stamkos who's a badass. Yeah, he's going to yield a bit more return than that. But the other thing is, for me, and I don't know if it's the same thing with you guys, the deficiencies for the most part, we have injuries. We have Carlson, we have Couture, we have, not that Torres is some spectacular addition, but we do have a lot of injuries, and the majority of them are on the front side of the blue line. For me, if you're going to trade Marlowe, it better yield one hell of a defensive boost.
Well, you know what, and that's a great point what you said, although I'm kind of in the sense of Generation X-Wing. You think you're getting a stud D-man for Marlowe? Lol. Sorry, man, you're getting scrubs. And I agree with you. There's nothing. He had the play of the week in the NHL last week. That's great. Here's the problem, though. It was his first goal in 10 games.
Yep.
And he scored 19. Yes, you're getting the name Patrick Marlowe. Yes, you're going to have a guy that's going to eventually score 500 goals and get about 1,200 points in the NHL. And is probably a Stanley Cup away from maybe being a Hall of Famer.
And Chester Chivo tweeting, Marlowe from 15 years ago couldn't land a Stamkos. And I would agree with that, because you know what the difference is? Stamkos is consistent. When have you ever seen anybody say that Marlowe is a consistent guy? Now, granted, the last couple of years in the playoffs, he has been better, but that's been the rap on Marlowe from day one, is that the guy is streaky and inconsistent.
And that's who we tend to draft. And that's who we tend to draft, and that's who we tend to get. Because if we remember, Seta was like that. He'd be really, really hot and then disappear. And the only, who is the most consistent player for the Sharks in terms of scoring and stuff like that? You can't really say that there's a consistent play. You could say that there's a consistent play in a player. Obviously, Couture is going to be really good in the face-off and on the penalty kill. You could say that that's consistent. But other than that, Pavelski, yes, definitely.
But just for this argument really kind of drives me nuts, because even if you just look at percentages, right? You look at shooting percentages. There's going to be times where things dip. There's going to be times when things are really good. It's just the way of the game. The game is streaky. So, I mean, maybe outside of Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin as the two most consistent goal scorers or point getters, because Crosby can fluctuate between an assist machine or a goal machine.
You could throw Stamkos into that mix too, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, besides super elite talent, the drop off between the super elite talent and everybody else, and even just regular elite talent, is large. And it's going to be streaky, and that's just the way the game goes. So it's always kind of annoyed me that people don't look into the math at that point and just say, oh, he's a streaky player. But it's, I don't know.
Remember, Landy, we're all about the new math.
Well, the new math, the shooting percentage math, has been relatively new.
No, I'll give you that. I'm just saying, it was a joke that clearly you took way too seriously. It's okay.
but that is somebody has argued with me about that, and it's just like, guys, I know that you want to single him out, and I know when we look at him, sometimes he doesn't show up and sometimes he does. But I mean, like, you just got to look at the math and look at what's actually going on. I mean, what really pisses me off is when he goes a game, like 4 games without shots on goal. That's when I get upset.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was Jake is the one, Slushy Jake, one of our favorite watchers, is the one who proposed that idea about Stamkos, and he has just tweeted. He says, first off, you can say that I was the one that proposed that, and Slushy, I will give you the absolute due. You were the one that did it, and he also wanted to make sure that in his suggestion, he also wanted to point out that I am only 12. So I get it. It's all good. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet Jake tonight. He was on the other side of the ice, apparently. But one of the things that Gen X has said is, when it comes to Marleau, he says, you guys won't get what you, quote-unquote, expect back from Marleau, a pick and a third, fourth line, bottom 6D type players, that's it. And that's what I'm saying. There's no reason to let go of Marleau unless it is going to give a return. Now, whether you dial in the salaries or whatever it is, there is no reason to let go of Marleau at this point unless it returns a top 1-2D guy. And like I said, whether other people are involved in the trade, whether the money, whatever it is, no way Marleau is going anywhere unless it returns Big D. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's if Marleau wants to go to this supposed team. Because, after all, he has a no-movement clause. You can't even send him to the minors or release him out of his contract because...
But it's a limited, right, where he's able to... It's
a complete lockdown, no-move clause.
Yeah.
He can't, it's not one of those ones where he's able to submit
a list.
10 teams.
No, it's not. No, it's nothing like that.
Oh well, then why did that the person who tweeted it from Hockey Night in Canada, why did he even tweet it? Because if it's all up to Marleau, unless he's going to like the Canadians or something, where they're on the precipice of already winning their division, I just can't see him going anywhere.
Right. And that's what's bothered me about the mainstream Canadian media. And I'm sorry, Ian, but this is kind of what pisses me off is they like to chime in on the San Jose Sharks going on, and they have no clue. And it's they fail to realize that there's a no-movement clause. We've been down this road last year. He was going to be traded, or
Ekland's traded him 14 times in 6 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, to the Canadians, but they fail to realize his attachment to San Jose and his no-movement clause.
And it wasn't. But I mean, again, it was the report wasn't that Marleau a Marleau trade is imminent. It's just that teams were inquiring about Marleau. That's what I think is the important distinction, though. It's not that the Sharks are going to trade Marleau tomorrow. It's that teams are interested in their, in their.
People are making a mountain out of a molehill on this,
exactly.
and let's be honest. Patty's wife loves the Bay Area, so it's going to be an awful lot to get the Marleaus to start looking at real estate in another area other than the Bay Area.
But like Gen X just tweeted out, they wouldn't float the rumor if teams were calling. And teams call about every player. This was something else. And that's right. You don't just randomly call for a veteran winger who's got 1,000 points.
As bad as it is.
Well, yeah, but I'm going through the tweets here, and it's funny. Let's see here.
Well, and of
Stop
course, I don't care what anybody says. Gen X tweets are always put at the very top of the list that we discuss.
Yeah.
Because Gen X is just that badass.
Chester Chivo's come with 2 ideas. More likely Marlowe trade, a Marlowe for a 5th, 6th, and a $20 Tim Hortons gift card. Rocket Backhander for a 2018 first-round pick. That kind of actually seems more realistic.
You know what? That seems very odd to me because I would have sworn that Rocket Backhander would have probably said, like, Marlowe for John Scott straight out.
We need him for the sequel to Holiday Sweater.
Only because she could go #legend.
Oh, God. Chester Chivo also said Patrick Marlowe traded to the Oilers for Hall, injured Connor McDavid, Drew Remenda, and 4 bald eagle eggs.
You know what the funny thing is, though? As I guarantee you, Sharks fans, be honest with me, Sharks fans, they would be more than happy to trade Marlowe for Remenda.
Yeah.
Thank God. I would take that trade in a heartbeat.
You know what?
It's too much truth.
I would just trade Patrick Marlowe just to get rid of that $6+ mil of the salary cap, because then we could have, we could trade then for an actual defenseman. Here, I mean, we could trade Marlowe to Buffalo for some picks in Cody Franzen. I mean, I'd be fine with that.
But now you're strip mining the picks all over again. You don't have a first. You've got you don't have a third, is it this year?
What have we done? What have we done with our first round picks anyway?
That was Jones. That first round pick became Jones.
Right.
So that's why we don't have it.
Woo. And what have we done with our first round picks? We picked Mirko Mueller in the first round. He looks already to be a freaking bust.
That's way too soon.
Yeah, especially for a defenseman.
Okay, then fine. Well, you can quote me. If 5 years from time, if he hasn't been an NHL regular, I'm going to say he's Petrecki 2.0, and you can quote me.
That would be totally fair.
Whoa. Who are we talking about?
Mueller.
Oh, see, I can't call him Petrecki 2.0 because Mueller's actually seen a lot of NHL ice.
Now,
no, I'm not. See, that's the whole thing. You guys are laughing. I'm not being sarcastic with that. It's plain true.
That was because they forced him out there because at the time the Sharks didn't sign anybody. We were like, we're moving Brett Burns back to defense because we let Dan Boyle go, and then we're not going to do anything, and we want to give Mirko Mueller a chance, and we're going to waste 1 year of his entry-level contract because we're a bunch of fucking dumbasses because we didn't replace anybody because we got reverse swept. Way to go, DW. You're a fucking tard.
Is anybody else creeped out by the fact that Gentry's like really dimly lit when he said that?
That's my new lighting. It's stuck in basement lighting.
It's the I'm very upset lighting. This is what's going to be said right now, and I don't care if you like it or not.
I'm going to actually throw this out there, and I forget where I saw it.
Uh-oh, softball toss. Toss it out there.
Marlowe Goldobin.
Goldobin, is that a new player?
No, it's a new pastry.
Lagunitas. No, Marlowe Goldobin and a pick to Tampa for Stamkos.
No.
Wait. Hang on. But if
this isn't Halak for Mashinter, all right? Come on now.
Wow. Man, dude, did you dig all the way up into the top of your spine to pull that out of your ass?
No.
We just mentioned this, man. It's not a case of wanting to get more offense here. It's the defense. It's build. You guys, when a couple Pucknologies ago, I wasn't on, but Ian and Landy both lost their shit, and I was so proud at the amount of F-bombs that Landy and Ian dropped. It's you build out from the net. And it's that case of there's no reason to make any fucking trade unless it's for some stellar D. We talked about this before, where it's when are the Sharks going to deal with the dog that is running behind Ian, and then they're going to have to deal with the fact that they have not been able in 25 years to draft a defenseman that can make the All-Star game. Okay, well, let's just fucking leave Sandis Ozolinsh out of this. It's been 20 goddamn years. How are the Sharks so bad at dealing and drafting and grooming defensemen that's all it is? So if Marleau isn't bringing back some sort of stud defenseman to offset the ridiculous contracts that Braun and Dylan have gotten, then why? That's my question. Why?
No, and you're totally right. And the other thing that we've also
Oh my God! Can you tell my wife that? Just I'm totally right. Can you just tell her that?
We have a comparable trade. You look at Jerome McGinley, and when he was traded from Calgary, and what did Boston trade? They traded 2 B-level prospects and a low pick, and that's all Calgary got, and that's a comparable to Patrick Marleau. And so what are we going to get? 2 B-level picks and a low-level, or 2 low-level prospects and a low-level pick? I mean, why even do it at that point? I'm with AJ at this point. You try and get a defenseman out of it, and there have been rumors about Calgary trying to float Weidman. Weidman for a Marleau, I wouldn't do that. At this point, what I would do is I'd rather just get the picks and the prospects, clear out that space, make sure you don't retain any space for Marleau's contract, and you have $5 million to play with in the offseason.
But I look at it this way. I think it's got to be a trade that blows DW's mind, kind of like the Thornton deal. Or
winning for McGinn.
No. I'm saying
don't trade him in the division.
No. What I'm saying is that it's got to be something substantial to say let's go, because I don't think DW would have parted with like that for no names for Stewart and Stern, let alone Primo 10 years ago. I think it's got to be something that blows his mind, and the little twist to it all is getting Marleau to agree to it and then go. And I just can't see that happen.
Which is never going to happen.
And that's what happens when you sign your aging superstars to no movement clauses, whereas you look at Tampa Bay, they traded their aging superstars and made it to a cup final.
Oh my God! But are we all having a really good time that a serial killer is telling us what should be happening?
Yes.
But I mean,
what's your favorite horror movie?
We need to get off this Stamkos thing though, because as Generation X-Wing points out, this is a UFA at the end of this year.
Yeah, and he's commanding at least $10 million a year in his next contract. And you know that the Sharks with Hasso, they're not going to want to be giving that kind of a deal to somebody.
Right.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, dude, I would now. We've been having a good time with this Pucknology After Dark thing for, I don't know, close to
a year.
A little over a year, almost 18 months, since the fucking reverse sweep. But I'm telling you right now, just between listening to Teal Tinted Glasses and what Ian brings to the party, and looking at what Chester Chivo and Generation X-Wing bring to the Twitter party, I would literally pay $10 a month for a weekly podcast that featured Chester, Gen X, and Ian, as long as GIFs and memes were involved. If I could get a weekly version of that, I'm telling you, I would just. But it would have to include Gen X's voice on the cast, because that dude makes Casey Kasem look like a fucking piker. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are watching Pucknology After Dark.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my God. Oh my dude. Literally, I got a little bit of chubby on that. That was awesome. That was fantastic.
Glad your camera's not on then. Holy crap.
That's why.
We didn't even score 4 goals, and you got a chubby.
If I did another show, my wife would kill me.
Guys, let's move along here. We'll step aside from the chubbies and the dreams of landing Stamkos.
But why is Chester saying I'll DM you my PayPal email? Dude, you think we get paid for this horse shit?
No, we get shut down by the NHL. Come on. Now.
Dude, you know what? Landy, do us a favor.
Explain that.
Spend like 30 seconds on that. I mean, give me a break.
All right. So, if kind of a behind the scenes for everybody who didn't know, when we throw up the YouTube page, you've got the page that has the countdown, right? And that's going to be where the show ultimately ends up. So what ended up happening was during the second intermission, that's when I start bringing everybody on because I'm the host. I have good internet, so that's why we host it on my machine. And so
is our Ryan Seacrest. Go ahead.
So when we get everybody on, I had the cast going, and everything looked fine on my end. And then I get a text from Ian saying, "Did you know that the feed was down?" And I go, "The feed was down." And so then, sure enough, I log in on my Gmail account. I look on there, and what happened? The NHL shut us down. So we must be doing something right.
I agree with that. I mean,
hey, Pucknology already has a couple people ripping off our articles, so you know. Oh, dude, and you know what? Let's not even between the articles and dude, I'm not gonna like rip Pashelka the wrong way because you know what I mean. For the most part, he's done a great job filling the void that David Pollock left. Yeah, he's done a great job that Pollock. He's done a great job that Pollock left the void for, but it was kind of weird that both Bench and him. Like literally 10 days later after my article, and you know what? Pashelka, like he dove deep. He went a lot deeper than I did.
He dropped the numbers and he has access to the team. So yeah,
exactly. And it's he put that article together with like a snorkel outfit. Like he dove deep, whereas Bench like literally hit the same fucking points in the same order I did, but. The funniest, I don't even know what was funny about that, dude. Just go back and look at my timeline between me and Bench tonight. Oh my God, that guy's, he's a lot of fun to follow. Go ahead and follow him, people. He's a lot of fun.
The thing about
you know
Bench is,
let's just not even. Why give him any pub because he's silly.
I will say this: that no name writer who keeps. Chewing up my Facebook feed with his Crab to the Sharks group. Put it like this: he's about as useful as Alexei Semenov on the power play. So.
And with that, we will move on to part of the reason why we were celebrating tonight. It was Owen Nolan night at the Tank. Where they give out free mini lockers, which, by the way, if you have an extra one, please contact me on Twitter.
And me.
What this?
Yeah, that one. Shit.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You mean this?
Oh, you bastard.
No.
Ignorant slut.
No. In fact, you know what? Because tonight I went to the game. I took my dad. He comes out here for his annual visit. And what was even cool about it, I got my little my magnetic schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But no, talking to my dad about it. So I was talking to him, saying that I might need his because. There's a guy on Pucknology that has an Owen Nolan cheer card for me, and he might not give it to me unless I give him one of these. So we'll see how it works out. But anyway,
it'll work out better than Marlowe for Stamkos, that's for sure.
Right. So, but the thing that I do need to at least mention about that it was Owen Nolan's night tonight. The fact that I was near the area, and I think we were all kind of shocked to a certain extent that Brody and Hedekin were live at the Tank tonight versus being in the studio up in the city for CSN. They were actually in the Tank, and they had Owen Nolan as a guest, which I'm sure is the reason why they were live at the Tank. But I'm telling you, I was right near the section where can we all hear like fucking Eric banging away on the keys right now? Because that was amazing. But anyway, but anyway, I was right next to where they were broadcasting, and it was so funny, dude, because when Nolan came out of the broadcast area, literally had like 2 like fucking escort bodyguards to like make sure that he got like to the elevator to go up, to go up on high to get to the alumni suite. It was so funny because there was like 3 people that were like hanging out waiting for Nolan to come out, hoping to get a photo, and it was like, yeah, okay, hey, how you doing? Okay, we gotta go, and it was a and bam, see ya. So I thought that was kind of funny to a certain extent, but it was also kind of like, geez, you would think that like these 16,000 people that showed up, because if you think it was a sellout, you are sadly mistaken. Paid sellout, yes. Scanned sellout, not even close. At least 1,000, 1,200 less. But you would think like, Nolan, for all the fans that have, just been uber into him, you would think he'd like maybe stay for a second and say, yeah, okay, I'll take a quick photo with you. I mean, but hey, do what you want to do. He's the best power forward that the Sharks have ever had, and just a monster captain. And I think we can all still look back at the fact that he's the very first captain that ever like invoked the 7-second delay, the censor. When he came out for the playoffs, and we expect you all to be really fucking loud.
You mean Todd Gill never did that? Oh my God.
I don't remember Gill doing it, at least to the level that Nolan did. But either way, it doesn't even matter.
Neither did Marlowe or Thornton, but whatever.
Well, no, Marlowe had a F-bomb slip during one speech. But AJ, some people were fortunate. My friend Amanda, otherwise known as I Bleed Teal 48. Well, it doesn't show up to there for a while.
She's on.
She's on, but she's,
I'm sorry, hold on.
You can kind of see Nolan's chin there, but she was able to get a picture.
No, all we see is Nolan's neck. But dude, honestly, can you make sure that you take that photo, because Kevin Kurz might be watching, and
Oh. Wow.
Wow.
Pucknology after dark.
Well, there goes our chances of having Kurz on the show. All right.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did. Anyways, moving along.
That's only from what I've heard.
That's fine. I'll waive my no move. If he ever appeared on the show, I would waive my no movement clause and get the fuck out.
Who? Marlowe or Kurz?
Kurz.
Anyways, my last topic before I have to go to bed. Your guys, your favorite
moment. Before he has to go to bed.
Oh, somebody has to be. Okay, I'm sorry.
Dude, it's before your AOL hours run out. Come on.
Hey, don't they have like nights and weekends kind of deal?
Like the Sharks, I'm trying to run the things on the cheap right now.
And you know what? That joke was straight up for Patrick and Chris. I hope you enjoyed it.
Anyways, to the topic I was trying to start. Gentry, I'll start with you. Your favorite Owen Nolan moment from when the time he was in Teal?
Oh God, that's a good one. I'd have to go with when he was. I think it was when he checked Belfour.
That's a great one.
Because as we all know, Belfour was an asshole, and we're pissed that he didn't stay with us. But I think that moment where he just nailed him, I was just like, okay, yeah, that's what he sends the message, and he's like, yeah, I'm glad you didn't end up in Teal, bitch. Kind of that was my moment with him, because that was just awesome. That when his son scored on Team Niemi at Captain's Ice Practice. That was
yes. Landy, your favorite moment from Nolan as a Shark?
The called shot is always awesome.
And just, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump on your stuff, Landy, but they did make a big deal out of it at the game tonight, where Danny Miller was on there and was like, nobody can forget his center ice shot in the 2000 playoffs against St. Louis in Game 7, or his cold shot in the '97 All-Star game, and so. But yeah, it was definitely called out tonight during the game. But if that's yours, absolutely, go ahead.
I love that one. It just the bravado of that is pretty awesome.
Ian?
Yeah, I'm with Landy. Unfortunately, it'd be boring. But yeah, it's that cold shot was just like it was awesome. It's just one of those things that always, even though it wasn't like it's just the All-Star game, but still, calling a shot because he beat like Hasek too. So.
And he had so many chances on him.
Yeah.
In that last third period. AJ, yours before I tell mine.
For most people, it's going to be that center ice shot against St. Louis, and that is one of my favorites. I'll never forget I was literally going up to a friend's wedding in Napa and purposely stopped off at a bar so I could watch like the third period, and seeing that, it was just like, oh my God. So that will be a big one. But you know what, for me, it's and it might be kind of a dickhead memory, but I don't even give a shit. The Honey Badger don't care. Dude, the hit on Grant Marshall when he was going to the bench, bro. I'm sorry, Jason Marshall, not Grant Marshall, Jason Marshall, right?
No, Grant Marshall.
It was Grant Marshall. Okay, so it was. There were two Marshalls, right? Jason and Grant. Yeah. Okay.
Jason played for the Sharks, and Grant was the one who actually took an original 5-minute checking from behind penalty, but he got no game misconduct for it. And Nolan was so pissed off, and so he came over there, sucker punched him. He legitimately needed to be suspended. However, the league didn't suspend him right away. I think the game was on a Saturday. They didn't have a hearing until that following Friday, and it was played over and over and over again on the Canadian media, and ended up getting 13 games for that. I'm sorry, and Gen X is going to kill me because I'm going to come up with a conspiracy theory. The guy played the next game and scored 2 goals, and the guy got 13 games. I'm sorry, what?
No, going back to what you said, I would say my favorite Nolan moment is just that Marshall hit. I don't even give a shit that he got suspended for it. You could see that he was just like in that frame of mind where I've had enough shit and I'm not taking any more, and I'm gonna just lay it out on the guy who is. I don't care that I'm skating off the ice. This guy's in my way, and so booyah, elbow, Spanish Archer, booyah. But all-time favorite Nolan moment for me is the fact that he actually came into the bar that I was working at within like the first 2 weeks of being traded to the Sharks. And what's funny is, I'm like, hey, you're the new Shark and everything. And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, Ozolinsh wasn't that great, man. I got high hopes for you. And he just kind of laughed. And then a year later, he showed up again to the bar that I was working at, and I went, well, that Ozolinsh has a ring. That trade didn't work out so well, huh? And he goes, yeah, what are you going to do?
but you know what about that, though? That pissed him off so much that when he was named captain, you can see it in his eyes as to how passionate he wanted to win. He wanted to win that cup. And there's 2 guys that I think that stand out in the organization that stream, this is how you should be as a San Jose Shark, and it was Nolan and Ricci. Yeah. The passion, the desire, and the heart. And the will to have, and that's what I'll remember most about Nolan was all that. Yeah, you guys hit all head on the whole moments. There was one moment, and it kind of sounds weird. It was in the 95-96 season. They were already out of the playoffs. Detroit was coming into town trying to break the all-time wins record.
And Slushy Jake hadn't been born yet. Go
And
ahead.
Slushy
That's
Jake
right.
wasn't even a thought yet. And they were down like 2 or 3-0 in the game. They come back to make it 3-2. And with 1 second left, Nolan gets a bad pass. He kicks it to himself. He goes rooftop top shelf at the end of the period to tie the game. And they eventually will finish off the third period and win the game. And I'm thinking to myself, would anybody on this team now have the will and desire to try to make that play to at least tie the game?
Pavelski.
Yeah. Well, we already saw Pavelski do it in Philadelphia, right? They were down by 1 goal, and then he gets the last puck and he gets it in. So I mean, we've seen them do that, but no, I mean, Pavelski I don't think has that same fire that Nolan had.
Right.
I don't. It's hard.
You would be hard pressed to find a player on the current Sharks, on the Sharks over the last 10 years, that had the fire that Nolan had. I mean, that guy was a joy to watch just because, and we've discussed this before, back when you had the days where like the top line was Nolan, Friesen, and Danfus, and the third line was Sundstrom, Ricci, and Scott Thornton. And the middle line was like, whether it was a combination of Koryuk and whoever, it was that Sutter mindset of, if this is a game that you're going to beat us on the score, it's going to be a game that you feel for the next 2 or 3 days. That's the way that Nolan played, where you might beat me on the score sheet, but it's a game that you're going to feel, and it's a game that you're going to remember the next time you come into this building. You know what I mean, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's going to be that message sent that, just because you won tonight doesn't mean that you can come back into my house and kick some butt. With that, I'm going to be taking off. I unfortunately have to work at 4:30 tomorrow morning, but these guys will take you the rest of the way. Guys, have a great night. I will see you on Tuesday.
You got it, man.
Sounds good.
Have a good one, Eric.
And just to take it to the tweets really fast, Gen X are the guy who is clearly trying to compete with Chester Chivo for best Pucknology tweeter. He says, "Heart? Was that a new fancy stat? Like hustle even after the really taking?" You know what though? Come on, Gen X. Gen X has to know. And if he doesn't, let's explain that, is the fact that there were Sharks fans, and this is before Twitter. There were Sharks fans, and I know Eric knows this. Eric Cura knows this. Landy, I don't know because you weren't here. Ian, I don't know that you weren't here. I'm sure Gentry is aware of this. There were times that you saw that there were literally Sharks fans that were ready to like soak the windows of SAP or back then HP Pavilion and just hang up banners that said "No Heart." It was a case that it just seemed as if this team, well, not the current team, but the team at the Sharks team at the time, just that's what it was. It was like you weren't seeing you know what? Tonight, if I see guys skating their asses off, but like the passes kind of aren't making it or whatever it is, at least if you see like shots on goal, you see guys trying to get dirty, hitting guys, getting into the slot, trying to find the dirty goal, even if it doesn't get in. The idea that they're still just banging away at it, at least you can look at that team and go, you know what? They tried, man. They got into the dirty areas. Maybe the puck just didn't go in that night, but they did what they could.
Yeah,
and it's just a case of you would sit there and you look at a couple of the teams the last couple of years, and it's just like you see these endless points from the shot. You see them treating the blue line like a stop sign, where as soon as they get in, they fucking hit the brakes, They sit there on the half boards, and it's like, well, why aren't you getting it low? Why aren't you getting dirty on it? Doing the shit that Mike Ricci and Owen Nolan and the guys before you did. And obviously, it's a different coaching strategy. You get a different coach, it's a different scheme, but
it's obviously
different
a
league.
different game.
and it's a different game. But it's the fact of how dirty do you want to get, and it just seems like back then we had guys that wanted to get more dirty, and you see a guy today like Hurdle or Donskoy, who does have that kind of mindset, like, yeah, let's play dirty, man. Let's get into those areas that we need to get into. And then you see Marlowe and Thornton coming in and treating that blue line like a fucking stop sign.
Yeah,
it is a little maddening.
No, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but Owen Nolan had major beef with Marlowe's game.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Because he was a fucking guy who would get into those dirty areas and do what needed to be done, where Marlowe was a more like Solani finesse kind of guy who didn't want to get dirty.
Right. And so, I think, that it's just kind of sad because when for all the shit that Rafi Torres has taken for being a headhunter or being this or that, when we did see him skate up the laces for the Sharks, you saw the Sharks revert back to that old we're taking no prisoners, kind of hitting everything in sight, and that sparked everybody. I mean, that's when Angry Joe came out. That's when we saw Thornton, really using the body. That's when we saw Patrick Marleau making hits. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not saying now. I just want to preface this because I know people are watching us and they're gonna like give me a ration of shit over this. I'm not saying that you should forego making the play just to get a hit. I'm saying that when the hits are there, finish your checks, make the hit, finish it off, and it's there's so many times over the last couple of years you just see these half-hearted hits where there's just kind of it's a slight brush, it's a slight rub. Yeah, it's just very slight. Where if you go in there and you finish that check, maybe you get that guy to cough up that puck in the right position at the right time, and that's the Sharks. I hate to say it, and I think. Ian, Gentry, Eric, you guys have all been longtime fans. You've watched this team for a lot of years. I think you would all agree that it's a case of since Daryl Sutter left, that whole identity has kind of left the team where it's not a case of it has gotten a little bit more finesse, and it's that idea of no, you're not going to feel this game on the flight home or on the flight to the next city. And at least when Daryl was here coaching this team, and I'm not saying that Daryl's strategy was the best, although he does have 2 rings now, but the fact that Daryl's strategy, at least it was this kind of relentless, just we're going to keep coming after you, and we might not be getting our passes, or we might be air hoffing it for the most part. But it's that idea of just like, damn man, you motherfuckers are gonna feel this shit on the plane back to wherever you're going, and we haven't had that since then.
Let me stop you, AJ. So
you will not ever stop me. But go ahead.
Isn't it so interesting that the way that we used to see the Sharks play is the way that the Kings play now? Isn't it so interesting that that style has taken them so far? And we could argue that their team is significantly less talent than the Sharks do, but yet they've seemed to go a lot farther with the Sutter style. Now, mind you, the Sutter style burns people out, and at the end of his tenure, the Sharks were burnt out. And they looked to Ron Wilson as somebody who was going to kind of baby him a little bit more.
Yeah,
pat them on the back a little bit more and whatever,
But that was the weird thing about Ron Wilson, is that he he hated, or no, I'm sorry. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry. I have had a little bit of cocktails. Sutter was, if you remember, Sutter was the guy that liked the bangers, the grit guys, and had Koroyuk in his doghouse. And then when Ron Wilson took it over, Koroyuk was like almost featured because he liked seeing the guys that were kind of dynamic and that would, could puck handle in a telephone booth and I guess we don't have to like get on the microphone and explain what telephone booths are to our like younger speaking audience, but the Koroyuk could make shit happen. But for some reason, Sutter was turned off by that. But Wilson was like, "Yeah, let's get that happen." And a line of Sutter, or a line of Koroyuk, Solani, and Marlowe was kind of like this. Man, there's a lot of creativity and speed in there that could happen.
Yeah, no, and that just goes to my point is that Ron Wilson got away from that style, and really that's when they kind of lost it. Todd McClellan was very much Detroit style, where they weren't too physical. They would be physical enough to take you off the puck, be physical enough to try and separate guys, but that was about it. And really lost the identity of being a banging and brash and take no prisoners kind of team.
Yeah, and going from Sutter to Wilson was definitely a case of bangers to finesse.
Right, and so I think where the sweet spot is, if you find a coach that uses both the bangers and the skill guys and is able to really toe that line between the grit and the skill. Just thinking back, I mean, what coach has there been like that in the NHL? And I don't really know, and because if they're either really one to the puck possession kind of finesse style, or they're the other way where they're, bangers and either the Randy Carlyles of the world or the Sutter, of course, still playing the same way. So
Claude Julien,
yeah. I mean,
that fucking guy.
Well, here's the thing: is that Claude Julien has a cup ring. I'm just saying. I mean, but then again, with him, he had the right team at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh damn. Okay, you know what? I know I was there, but it is getting to like 20 till midnight, and so we should probably start considering packing it in. And I will have to say, Patrick M, Generation X-Wing, this fucking guy.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on. I just have to lay it out there. I am dying for the time that this gentleman makes his way to the Bay Area so we can have some cocktails, because, dear God, I love some of the stuff that he throws out there that just rips on the Sharks. But then he turns around and he rips me a new one, and I love it because he is Honey Badger. Generation X-Wing don't give a shit. He will rip on anybody he thinks is like talking out of their ass, and he just threw up a graphic that it was, you see all the banners, and before we saw a banner that was like best jersey 2015, and now he threw up one that says no heart 2015. The sad part of that is it should say like no heart 2007 to like dash 2013. You know what I mean?
No, to this year, to 2015.
Oh, well, okay, 2015. But either way, the fact that I love Gen X to death because he lights me up like everybody else. But the fact on this one, you know what? You kind of screwed up, bro. There needed to be a dash. There needed to be a start year and an end year because it wasn't just one season. But that was badass. But going forward, we do have the Islanders coming in on Tuesday. I think if the tank was like half empty, they would probably go, "Oh, it's just like home." If you've seen what's going on at Barclays, Barclays has been a bit of a shitstorm for them. So we will see what happens. I think now, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong. At this point, the Sharks are what? Are we 7-7, or we're
Seven
like
and
5?
Seven.
So
Seven, I
we're
believe.
we're a
Yeah,
500 now. Can we all agree that when was the last time that you fucking saw a Sharks team that had played 14 games and didn't have any type of an overtime loss?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of odd. But we're going to hit the Islanders, and then we're going to go on kind of a rough road trip after that, where we've got 6 on the road. We have a back-to-back Detroit Buffalo. I'm assuming that we're going to see Jones in Detroit, and then Stalock in Buffalo.
No, we're gonna see Stalock in Detroit and Jones in
Jones in
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Dude, really? You don't?
Well,
Man,
if history repeats
no.
itself.
No, I'm saying, am I not expressing my sarcasm correctly? But then, Boston, Philly, Pittsburgh, and, of course, the Blue Jackets again, which I think we can all chalk up to a 2-1 loss.
Oh, that's if we're lucky. I predict
right?
it being a blowout.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. And then, of course, the Blue Jackets coming home, the Blue Jackets the day before Thanksgiving, which for some godforsaken reason, if you look at the Sharks schedule over, I think, the last 8 years, 7 of those years, the Sharks have played the Chicago Blackhawks the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know why, but anyway, that's the thing. So either way, we have a home game coming up against the Islanders, and then a 2, 4, 6 game trippy. I'm going to ask you first to Landy. They couldn't get it done tonight against Anaheim for some godforsaken reason. They did have some good looks, but they also played pretty sloppy tonight, in my opinion. Do you think that they can conquer the Tavares clan?
Did you see them play at the beginning of the month?
It doesn't matter. Hey, did you see Anaheim play for the first 2 weeks? It doesn't fucking matter, man. It's any given hockey night, not any given Sunday, any given hockey night. What do you think that the Sharks can pull away from the Islanders game before they go on the road?
I think the Islanders have too much depth, to be quite honest. I don't see the Sharks winning that. I see it maybe being like a 3-2 Sharks loss at this point.
Gentry?
I think Landy is giving the Sharks too much credit. I think that it's going to be another blowout because here's the thing: the Sharks they can't answer for the speed, and Islanders have a lot of it. So I predict it being 5-2.
Ian?
I obviously don't like the Sharks' odds. They've really failed to. I don't think they've really beaten a good team this year so far. Like it seems like all the wins we have are against dog teams, except for at the beginning when good teams were playing bad. The Islanders are 5-3-2 in their last 10 though, so I mean there's a hope there, but I'm not super excited about it.
Okay. All right. Just to let you know, for any of us watching on YouTube or whatnot that have access to the Twitter, just to let you know, Generation X has actually fixed his graphic. It does say no heart, 2003 to 2015, and apparently Chester Chivo, Josh, our bro up in the Upper East Bay has thrown down. It rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Throwing my face in there. Apparently, see, this is the weirdest goddamn thing, man. Everybody, there's a decent amount of people that think I have this like massive beef with Andrew Bench, and honestly, I really don't. I mean, he says some stuff that I think is kind of funny. It's kind of comical. And then he says some shit where I just kind of go, really, dude? Like, what? Where the fuck are you watching? Like tonight, he popped off with a couple things about the lines, and I'm like, oh, okay, where are you sitting in the tank tonight that you see that? And of course he goes to his end all be all, which is, you don't have to be in the tank to see this stuff. And I was like, Well, I mean, let's be honest. The camera angle covers about a third of the ice throughout most of the game, right? I think we can all agree on that. There is shit that happens far beyond the camera's reach that doesn't make it up, but apparently not to Andrew. But you know what? You know what? That's good for you, Andrew. And if that works for you, that's fine. But I think the kind of interesting part that was made aware of me or made aware to me tonight was apparently Andrew has had his backstage pass revoked. Now, I don't know what he did. I don't know what he didn't do, but I was told by a different writer who I actually respect that Andrew got his backstage pass revoked recently. I would love to know what he did in order to make that happen. But good for him. Shit happens. It's okay, Andrew. You can keep beating away on hockey writers. You can keep ripping off other people's, and rewording other. You know what it is? Because it's like I wrote my article. Ian's read it. Landy read it. Gentry read it. Apparently, 1,083 other people read it. If that gave you a quote-unquote inspiration, that's fine. The fact that you, I don't know, did your article and it was essentially very similar to mine, hitting the same bullet points in the same order, versus where Pashelka went like, he went like balls deep. So it's like, okay, so when I come up with my next article or whatever, or Landy comes up with something to write about, or Ian throws out another, badass fucking, like, here's the Canadian perspective, motherfuckers. Hopefully Andrew's able to deal with that and not do like a total cut and paste job. But it's okay. It's okay. And anyway,
let's run down
the
division real quick. And
there's divisions?
Yeah, there's divisions.
Get the fuck out of here.
And no Gen X, I won't say row.
Row.
So we got LA, they're 9-5, they're leading our division with 18 points. You got Vancouver, they're 6-4-4, they've got 16 points. San Jose 7-7 in third place with 14 points. Arizona is in fourth place with 13 points. They're 6-6-1. Anaheim's got 12 points now. They're 5-7-2. Calgary is 5-9-1. They've got 11 points. They're in sixth place. And Edmonton is 5-9 with 10 points. They're in last place in the division. And it's interesting because the Los Angeles Kings, leading with 18 points.
You wanted to call them Queens. Go ahead.
If they were to stack up in the Central Division, they wouldn't even be in fifth place. Actually, no.
That Central's a killer, bro.
Yeah.
Or is it a fact that the Pacific is just that bad?
Combination of both, I think.
Combination of both, yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, our division sucks. It's up for grabs, but you know what? I don't have any confidence that the Sharks can grab anything at this point.
No, not at all. And speaking about confidence, I swear to God, the only people that Gen X has confidence in when it comes to Pucknology After Dark, I think he's out of 1 to 10, he's ranked Ian at like a 9.5. He's ranked Landy at like a 7.5, maybe an 8, and like I'm at like maybe a 4, and like everybody else is under that. That's what I think is. And you know what I think part of it has to do with? My tie game. My tie game was a little off the last time, and I think he lost some respect for me after that. But I'm just saying that. But it's also because I've had a lot to drink. So we need to wrap this shit up.
Yep.
We need to get on to the Islanders on Tuesday night. Hopefully Patrick will have like another 5 banners to graphics to make, which I think would be fantastic. It should be like and actually, you know what? I have to put this out there now. I hate to do it, but Sometimes people need to be called out. I'm actually pretty upset that all this time, because I know that Gen X is familiar with the NHL ties people. And I think NHL ties and Gen X need to get together and forget this no heart banner. They need to just have a banner up there that just says Brody Brazil, the Sharks logo, and under it just a big fucking fat 9. That's what I want to see. Just a big 9, just Brody Brazil, the Sharks logo, and a big 9. I'm dying to see that. That's all I'm saying. I expect to see that ready and waiting when we play the Islanders on Tuesday. That's all I'm saying. Jesus Christ, I need to stop drinking, man. Get me the fuck out of here. Actually, you know what? And oh damn, and of course, Gen X has thrown out his ratings. Ian Reed gets a 9.3, which I cannot argue with at all. And in fact, if anything, I think that might be a little low because Ian is the Canadian motherfucker from hell. He is badass. Landy getting an 8.0. Very nice. That gives you a very nice rating, but it gives you a little room to work with. I think a lot of that is based on your background in your couch. And then of course, I get half that at a 4.0. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm usually drunk during these things, and I need to get a better background for myself. And then, of course, Puck Guy is rated at a 14.4 KPS. Because AOL just cannot do any higher. And unfortunately, Gentry is not with us enough to get a rating. You're just not on here enough to get us.
That's fine. I'm like the Patrick Marleau of the show. I kind of show up when I feel like it.
Oh damn! Hi-yo!
Patrick just said exchange rate drops my score, which is fair.
All right,
that's still true.
All right, I'm taking us out.
Hold on. You know what that means? Is that Ian actually has like a 12.9, but yeah, okay.
That's in Canadian dollars.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't even matter. Landy, get us out of here, man.
All right. Well, for the Pucknology crew, thank you for watching. Check us out at pucknology.net for all of our great articles that we like everybody to read,
and rip off.
Yeah. Anyhow, please use the subscribe button below to subscribe to our videos. You'll get a little notification when we go live or when we post a video.
Wait a minute. Gentry got 7.5. Oh man, I need to. We need to call it coaches. We need to have a coach's timeout for this.
All right. Well,
I'm just above average.
Well, we're taking a timeout for now. We'll see you after the Islander game. Have a good night, everybody.